Meeting of the Georges River Council Sports Advisory Committee meeting. I declare the meeting open at 6 p.m. I would like to acknowledge the Bidjigal people of the Eora Nation, who are the traditional custodians of all lands, waters, and sky in the Georges River area. I pay my respect to elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who live, work, and meet on these lands. I have an apologies from Kevin Green. Are there any other apologies? No. Can I please have a motion to accept the apologies and grant leave of absence? Moved by Councillor Moore, seconded by Councillor Lansbury. All those in favour? I declare the motion carried. Staff and public are reminded that this meeting is being recorded for minute-taking purposes and is also being broadcast live to the public on Council's website, in accordance with Section 5 of Council's Code of Meeting Practice. The recording will be made available on Council's website. The order of business is as shown in the agenda, which has been made available. Staff and public are reminded that this meeting is open. Doors to the meeting room are to be left open unless the meeting moves into a closed confidential session, according to Section 14 of the Code of Meeting Practice. Only if the meeting moves into a closed confidential session will the public broadcasting of the meeting be suspended. Council's Code of Meeting Practice prohibits the electronic recording of meetings without the express permission of Council. Mobile phones must be turned to silent during the meeting. Confirmation of minutes of previous meeting, SAC 001-26. Confirmation of the minutes of the Georges River Council Sports Advisory Committee meeting held on the 13th November 2025. Can I have a mover? Councillor Lansbury, and seconded by Nick Smedley. All in favour, say aye. Against? I declare the motion carried. Moving on to the committee reports, SAC 002-26, Cars Park Aquatic Facility. Can I have a mover? Councillor Moore, seconded by Councillor Lansbury. Can Bryce Filter please provide an overview of this item?
Certainly, thank you, Chair. I do sit on the PCG for this project with Kent Stroud, who's an apology tonight, and I can confirm that the delivery of the Cars Park pool continues along the timeline that the Office of Sport has indicated. And I do note that the New South Wales government did put out a media release yesterday, which included some renders for what the pool looks like currently, which is quite exciting. First time they've been released to the public. When we have the okay to release them, Council will also make those images public on our website. I believe they're on the Premier's Facebook account if you wanted to have a look at them. And currently the project's moving towards being put on the open market for tendering in the near future, and still on track at this stage for completion in late 2027.
Thank you, Bryce. Are there any questions?
Not a question, but I'd just like to thank the staff, General Manager, for everyone working so hard to move this project forward. Public community can't wait to see that facility open. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Councillor Moore. Are there any other questions? Sorry. Mr. Marksville.
Thank you for. I represent the sport of swimming, and I've had a look at what the state government's the images that proposed to be put in place. It is very exciting. The pool's progressing. I do have some concerns about what they're putting in place. It's hard to comment now without seeing them here in this room, but I might raise those concerns at the next meeting. But I see that there's issues with being very open. There's a lot of black protection from the elements. I see this complex going to be hard to, the heating of this complex will be hard to control in the cooler months. I think that's going to be an issue for council heating this pool, and I think that there's going to be issues raised from that. Again, I think this is, without sounding ungrateful with what's been presented, I think there needs to be some changes made to the design once put in place, either by council or by state government. I know it's a bit of a prickly topic at the moment, changing what they're putting up, but I can see there's going to be heating issues in for this pool. So anyway, that's my thanks.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Lansbury.
Thanks, Chair. Just following on Mark's question to the director, my understanding is we can't change any of the design work anyway, but the point that Mark raises about it being quite exposed to the elements is a very valid concern. And I think that was why one of the previous operators built up the side of the landscaping so that it would sort of protect it from some of the wind. That, I would imagine, would be on council's responsibilities list to more adequate fencing or something like that. They're just providing the pool, so that would be. Is that something that council has given any consideration to, or is that something we'll visit down the track?
We definitely do intend to enclose the Learn to Swim pool, and we have been working closely with their designers to ensure the design caters for the ability to enclose the Learn to Swim pool. It can't be included in the current scope of works due to the planning pathway that the Office of Sport is using, in that we need to do a full DA for that enclosure. So that will be something that council picks up down the track. In terms of shelter from the elements and things of that nature, I know it has been considered during the design, but I might pass over to our manager of City Technical Services, who sits on the working party with the design team with the Office of Sport, to give some more detail.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, so we note the location on Kogarah Bay. There's a strong wave fetch and those sort of things, and that has been taken into consideration. So the Learn to Swim public amenity building is to the south of the site, which is the large fetch associated with wind at that location. The renders are obviously an artistic impression of what the pool will look like, but there is actually proposed to be at minimum 1.2 to 1.5 metre glass balustrading along that bay edge, which is about the mitigation of wind effect on that site. In terms of the heating of it, it will all have blankets within the pool deck that will be able to come out and have appropriate lockdown points due to the wind conditions at that location. The Office of Sport has engaged an operator to be part of that working group to provide advice in terms of how a future operator will execute the operations of that pool, so that we're not taking on the operations of a pool facility that has issues. So it is Cars Park Pool. It is on the bay. That is something that has always been the case. If we Councillor Lansbury alludes to the mound that was put there, that was part of the remediation because that was all asbestos. Noting the site has quite a significant outlook, and that's what the pool has attempted to do as well. So we're trying to balance that amenity use and visibility of Kogarah Bay from the pool, which is a gem of that site, and we really want to capitalise on that. But we're also aware of weather conditions and winter operations of a swimming pool. So that has been taken into consideration and will continue to be as we progress the project to 100% design and then construction.
Can I just make a further comment on that? My experience with the blankets system is they're very hard to hold down, and you do get the westerly winds as well in the winter time from there. And look, this complex, if it can't be heated properly in winter time, people aren't going to come, and you're going to struggle to get to to finance it over the cooler months. So it's critical that that's been taken care of, both Learn to Swim and the main pool, that the heating is resolved. Otherwise, whoever's going to operate it, whether it be council or a private enterprise, it's not going to be self-sustaining over winter. So it's very important it gets looked at. So.
Noted, and we'll continue to work with the Office of Sport, who, as we've identified, other designs of. So, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? If not, I will call for a vote. All in favour say aye. Against? I declare the motion carried. Item SAC 003-26 Sporting Infrastructure Capital Works Update. Report by Manager, City Technical Services. Moved by, can I have a mover? Thank you, Councillor Mort. Seconded by Councillor Lansbury. Can Tom Heath please provide an overview of this item?
Through you, Mr. Chair. Welcome to all new members. This is something that's part of our regular update to the Sport Advisory Committee. This is an identification. I'm the manager of Capital Works at George River Council, and this is an update of all Capital Works programs that sit within our sporting infrastructure remit. If you haven't already observed or seen it online, so Council's project website looks like this. The QR code links to it, so you can use it in the future. This is the identification of all projects within the 25-26 Capital Works program. You can see underneath they're identified by their different types of by different types of project allocations. So if you go onto the website, each one of those dots is interactive and tells you information. It provides an update on the progress of each project. So you're up to date each month on what we're doing with each of our projects. In terms of the current Capital Works program that's associated with sporting infrastructure, Penshurst Park optical fence construction is obviously a Penshurst Park, is associated with bringing the Penshurst Park up to MPL1 standard of football. We were successful in obtaining development consent prior to Christmas and are in the process of engaging a detailed designing and construction contractor to execute this work. This is projected to continue within this financial year and looks to ensure the future operation of this facility to meet New South Wales Stadium football stadium standards. Olds Park Premium Sporting Facility. In good news of this one, it's now a rubble pile. So this is the construction of a significant premium sporting facility at Olds Park Oval 1. It has 4 change rooms, a club room facility, as well as public amenities and associated sporting infrastructure. This is projected to be completed by March 2027, and it's a significant bit of infrastructure in the LGA. Olds Park Shared Path. We're giving a bit of love to Olds Park at this point in time. This is the renewal of the existing circuit track, the asphalt circuit track. We're turning it to concrete as part of our improving accessibility and access on this site. This will also include an expansion and improvement of pedestrian lighting around the site. The portion of this is being engaged by a contractor who commences work in the coming weeks. There will obviously be a portion up around the Olds Park Premium Sporting Facility that will be executed by that contractor as part of the work. So there will be temporary connections in place, but by the end of the ideally March 27, the start of the 2027 AFL season, there will be a full connection and completion of this project. Olds Park sporting amenities, as I said, bit of love at this point in time. One of the other sporting amenities at Olds Park had a roof failure, so this is just associated with the renewal and the rectification of that. That's proposed to be executed in the coming months, so will be executed within this financial year. The green sporting amenity. This is the improvement and reconstruction of sporting infrastructure at the Green in Kyle Bay. It's also an improvement of public amenities at this site. The detailed design has now been completed on this project, and we'll be looking to take a report to council for the progression of this to construction in coming months. Jubilee Stadium Eastern amenities design. So the design has now been completed on this amenity within Jubilee. Under council resolutions, this needs to come to council for endorsement of owner's consent to enable us to execute the DA that this is required for prior to construction. So we're looking for this to come to a future council meeting in the coming months to execute this and progress this project to a DA. Riverwood Park field upgrades. This is the reconstruction of all 4 fields at Riverwood Park, including the development of irrigation and drainage at the site, as well as the complete resurfacing. It also includes the reconstruction of cricket pitches. We're in discussions with cricket at the moment in terms of the configuration of those pitches to meet both junior and senior cricket at this site. Work is expected. This is a design and construction with all designs essentially now completed. The contractor is looking to commence works roughly after Ross's Gala Day on the 8th of March. So we're looking for this to progress quite soon into March, which enables the construction to progress quite well. Pecos Park Adventure Play Space. This is an exciting new feature for Pecos Park that came out from our spatial framework. So this is actually a youth precinct, which includes mountain biking, parkour, and a mixed court, so basketball and other uses on the hard court. This community consultation on the concept design, which an artistic impression you can see on the screen, closed this week. We had 91 participants in the feedback loop of that Your Say process. So that design the concept design will be tweaked, and a report will come to council for the approval of that concept associated with the community consultation on that piece. This will link into the new Pecos Park community facility, which is also under construction at the top of the screen at this point in time. Gifford Park sporting amenity. This is the construction of sporting infrastructure at this site. To date, Gifford Park only has public amenities. Based on demand at this site from a football perspective, we are looking to construct our Type 13, which is a concept on the screen, which is change room, canteen, and public amenities. The consultant has developed a site feasibility plan at this point in time based on constrictions of the site to identify the best and probable locations for the future facility. They've identified 2 locations. We're in the development of a concept design, which with community will come to council for endorsement prior to some community consultation on that piece. Quarry Reserve North Tennis Courts and amenities. So this is the precinct redevelopment of this site. This financial year, we're looking to design the reconstruction of 2 tennis courts, public amenities, and improving accessibility to this site, both by car parking and the road to this site. This will enhance tennis infrastructure within the LGA, and that will progress into a future construction. Todd Park sporting amenity consultation. We're in the process of identifying determining the scope of this project to present this to council prior to going out for consultation, based on varying uses of this site and demands of current and future demand. And that's it. So there's a fair bit going on in the sporting realm. Yeah.
Thanks, Tom. Are there any questions?
Yes, yes, please. Firstly, from a point of view of Oakley Rugby Club, we are really grateful of the work being done at Riverwood Park and enhancing our presentation as the largest rugby union club in the south of Sydney. We've been working with council, so preface to the question, we've been working with council for many months now to be able to place us operationally over the construction period. And we'll actually be operating out of 3 different venues, which is quite a logistic issue for us. And one thing we've been seeking for some time now is to find the closure date of Riverwood Park, because we still haven't with council completed the needs for our canteen storage and playing facilities to be replicated at these 3 venues. So if you're saying that it will be closed after Sunday week, then we are not in a position to move out because we haven't got the needed facilities at the temporary ground. So, are you saying that it's going to be in the week of the 8th of March?
That's what we're working towards. We're aware of the logistical discussions that are happening with the community culture team around your placement elsewhere. The facilities will remain open in terms of canteen accessibility, and that's a discussion that's being had between yourselves and community culture.
So we're heavily in pre-season training at the moment. So operationally, it's not the canteen, it's the actual playing fields and their closure of those playing fields, because we can't we can't train without equipment, and there's no facility at this stage to place that equipment across the 3 venues.
So Ross, I'll just take that answer, Tom, if that's all right. I know how you've been working closely with Margaret regarding the field allocation and the, I guess, relocation of your storage and things like that. So we might take that offline, but what I will, and make sure that we can have a smooth transition from when the field is no longer available. But there is a plan in place. I know you have been consulted with heavily on that, and we're in conversation this afternoon regarding temporary amenities at other locations.
I should add, I'm really appreciative of the work done by council staff and executive. They work really well, but logistically, it's a huge concern for us.
Another question, Tom, sorry. Riverwood Park, the cricket pitches you're looking at moving, currently they're in between the football fields. They're still going to be in between, or they're going to be on the football fields?
No, they will remain between the football fields.
Yeah.
Any other questions? No, if not, I will call for a vote. All in favor say aye. Against? No, yes, I declare the motion carried. Next item, SAC 004-26, feedback from Sports Advisory Committee workshop, 13th of November 2025, sporting amenities and storage facilities. Report by Coordinator Community Property and Venues. Can Margaret Lee and Andrew Williams please provide an overview of this item? Oh, sorry, I forgot to. Can we get a mover? That's Nick Smurley, and second Dale Williams. Thank you.
Good evening, through you, Chair. This report is feeding back to the Sports Advisory Committee. A lot of research, benchmarking, and consultation from the previous Sports Advisory Committee that many of you were a part of in November last year, around the topic of Council's approach to granting access for sporting amenities moving forward. So this first piece is the feedback to you on that engagement and benchmarking, and we propose to then consult more broadly through the sporting community, through you, as well as through Council's YourSay platform, so that a proposed model can then go to Council to endorse. So I'll hand over to Andrew, and he'll step through a bit of the background and what we are proposing and what the feedback from the committee was, and what we're looking to take to broader community consultation.
Thanks, Margaret. Through Mr. Chair. So for the new committee members in the room tonight and those that weren't at the workshop back in November, here's a bit more of a further background to this report. So sporting amenities include canteens, toilets, change rooms, referee rooms, and medical rooms, while storage facilities include secure spaces to store equipment for training or games, etc. The demand for sports facilities across the George River LGA is increasing, and many of our license agreements for these facilities have expired. We've undertaken a review to ensure that these facilities are managed efficiently, equitably and align with Council's community lease and licence policy, and also the 2023 Council resolution on shared canteen use. So the review helps us ensure that fields and facilities are used optimally, positions our sporting infrastructure to support long-term growth, strengthens fairness and transparency, recognises depth of community investment in sport as well, and also provides a framework that can adapt as participation continues to grow. Additionally, the Georges River Community Infrastructure Needs Assessment and Acquisition Area Strategy, better known as CINAS, identifies that more people in our LGA want to play sport, which is great for our health and well-being, but it also means that our facilities are getting busier. There's a shortage of spare land available to build new sports fields, and because of this, existing fields and buildings are under pressure and need to be shared more fairly. Facilities need to be flexible and able to support different sports and users, and we need to manage and allocate these facilities in clear, consistent and fair ways to ensure that everyone gets a chance to participate. As part of the review, benchmarking was conducted with several metropolitan councils to compare licence and access models, as well as our conducting a review of our own online booking system with allocations of sports field usage as well. Engagement to date includes the Targeted Sports Advisory Committee survey, which was administered on 13th of November 2025 to gather early operational insights from regular users. From this, 10 respondents provided ranked and open-ended feedback on the suitability of various management options. This engagement forms stage one of a broader two-stage consultation process. So the key findings of the engagement to date are that for storage facilities, there's a strong preference against shared use due to the operational challenges with equipment, etc. Canteen, there's an emphasis for single-use management style within each season for safety, stock control, and financial management. And with change rooms, toilets, and referee rooms, 100% of the respondents preferred these areas to be managed as part of the seasonal or casual field hire, acknowledging their direct link to field use. So the recommendation for a proposed model, which is mixed management model, is that storage facilities would be under an exclusive 5-year license agreement with year-round access. Canteens would be under non-exclusive 5-year license agreements, however, alternating between winter and summer seasons, as well as in-season sharing where feasible. Both storage facilities and canteens would be allocated via an expressions of interest process under Council's community lease and licence policy. And then change rooms, toilets and referee room access would be via seasonal or casual sports field hire, aligned with field allocations. Even if the recommendations do not directly impact every sporting code, this work affects the overall health and sustainability of sport in Georges River's LGA. So the next steps from this report would be broader community consultation conducted through Council's Your Say platform to validate and refine the proposed model. And this provides an opportunity for engagement from clubs not represented within the committee, as well as casual users such as schools, parents, participants, and also the general community. It also ensures that the final model reflects all users' needs, not just those with established agreements. A future report would then be prepared for Council, presenting the consultation outcomes and the final recommendation operating framework. And fees and charges will be considered through the annual budget process and public exhibition process. Do we have any questions?
I have a couple of questions. So you said that the canteens will go to a non-exclusive 5-year period in season, you said?
So, through you, Mr. Chair. So for canteens, we're proposing taking on the benchmarking with the other councils do, the feedback from the committee, and what we think would work best to be able to accommodate as many users as possible, that it would be a 5-year non-exclusive license agreement. So once you have the agreement, you know that you've got certainty for 5 years. It's non-exclusive insofar as where possible, we want to share between summer and winter sport, and where possible, depending on the size and the age of the facility, weather and demand, any codes within the same season requiring sharing, because at the moment, essentially, one group occupies the facility exclusively. That's the for year round. So that's the current status, and that obviously has its pros and cons, and that we talked through that through the workshop in November. But taking on the increasing needs and demand for more access to sporting amenities, we're proposing, something that we hope balances the established connections with the sporting groups to the facilities, whilst trying to have a process to allow, where possible, another group to be able to use the canteen as well. But with storage, we recognise that operationally it's even though it's not impossible, because apparently Bayside do seasonal hire of their canteens, of their storage. But with storage, it would be year round exclusively for one organisation.
And so at the end of, say, it's the winter season and soccer have had their 6-month period, they would need to remove their stock from the canteen if another code had these seasonal hire.
Yes.
That'd be correct. And if there was no expression of interest from anyone else for the second 6 months, would that current operator be able to stay for another year?
I think it would be dependent on each location, each venue. I think we would go out to seek summer and winter for each location, and depending on the sports ground and what sports would be attracted to that field, then it would be a bit different for each sports ground.
Thank you.
Just in relation to the, I suppose, canteens, certainly support the utilisation of those facilities as much as possible. I know from a cycling perspective, years and years ago, we fundraised and supported the building of the canteen at Hurstville Oval, and accordingly, in any consideration of fees and future charges, we would hope that the history of the particular facility that you're seeking to hire out takes into consideration that how the facility got there in the first place. But yeah, certainly support the utilisation of facilities. Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, Jeff. Council will consider previous financial contribution to clubs in making those determinations in the future.
Any other questions? Madam Mayor?
Just to summarise the next steps, this is not locked in. It's going to go out for broader community consultation, so all the clubs can have their say on the recommendation. Is that right? So we'll come to council for us to endorse, to put out a public exhibition. Okay, thanks.
Okay. Calling for a vote. All in favour say aye. Against? I declare the motion carried. And the last item for tonight is item SAC005-26, Sport Community Facilities and Event Update. I'm calling for a mover. Nick Smoothly, seconded by Councillor Moore. Can Margaret Lee, Greg Knight, and Luke Gale please provide an overview of this item?
Hello again. Through you, Mr. Chair. So we've got a bit of a united front here. We each quarter like to give a bit of a snapshot of the events, the operational updates, upcoming contracts, things that we think are positive stories that are happening across our community and sporting facilities to highlight at the Sports Advisory Committee. So we'll kick off with Luke, our coordinator of Stadium Sport and Recreation.
can get the slide to go. There we go. Perfect. So starting with an overview of Council's managed facilities. So at Hunsville Aquatic and Leisure Centre, spa and program core filter replacements were completed, supporting improved asset reliability and service continuity for the community. The centre also recorded increased patron usage over this period, which the centre at the moment is on track to exceed 1.2 million total visitations for this financial year. At Sans Souci Leisure Centre, we completed major tiling works in the indoor pool over the Christmas break to improve the overall condition of the amenity. We've also completed traffic management and parking upgrades in response to community feedback and to improve accessible parking, pedestrian and safety. Further works are planned to install sandstone barriers along the shared road and concourse. These are scheduled to commence in early March. Over at Hurstville Golf Course, we experienced record usage over the Christmas period, and we successfully hosted the PGA sanctioned Wayne Riley Pro-Am in November 2025. Reinforcing the venue's profile and improvements in course condition. For the Ken Rosewell tennis courts, the RFT for the management agreement has been adopted by Council at the most recent Council meeting, and over at Normanuel Cricket Centre, the management agreement RFQ has been released, with Council now moving to a select tender phase. Yes, so moving along to Jubilee Stadium. Across the last 3 months, we've hosted a consistent number of events at the stadium, whilst also working around our major field renovations and the Christmas shutdown period. There was a total of 11 events, which included the NRL Pre-Season Challenge, held on February 7, 2026. This gave supporters their first look at NRL in 2026, with the stadium playing host to a doubleheader that included the Dragons playing the Knights and the Bulldogs playing the Cowboys to take part in their first competitive hit out of the season. In addition to the match days, the Dragons also maintained a strong on-site presence with 4 training sessions, including pre-season and captain's runs, reinforcing Jubilee Stadium's role as a critical high-performance training venue. The Dragons also hosted their second edition of their Members Forum, which gave club members exclusive access to their coaching staff, players, and their insights for the upcoming 2026 season. From a governance and community perspective, 4 GRC events were delivered during this period. These included major community initiatives such as the No Domestic Violence Walk, leadership and staff development workshops, and of course the end of year GRC staff Christmas party. The stadium also secured an additional 2 TV commercial film shoot days, which again demonstrates the versatility of the stadium and the increasing demand for this site as a commercial shoot location. Off the field, we also had some key developments, with Council securing the rights to be an exclusive training venue for both the Women's Asian Cup 2026 tournament and the Men's Rugby World Cup 2027 tournament. This has again cemented Jubilee's position in the New South Wales stadium landscape as a premier training facility for international tournaments. We've also secured a new naming rights partner for the stadium, that being St George Venues, which was accepted at our February Council meeting on Monday. And I'll pass it across to Greg for an update on sporting fields.
Switch over a little. Thanks very much. Through the chair. Good evening, everyone, councillors and committee members. I'm from the City Operations and Presentation team. We do the maintenance stuff on your facilities. So far this year, we're already into our winter turf renovation program. You might have seen some of our, there's our slide. That's some of our work happening at the moment. So we're already doing our autumn winter renovation work on the turf. We're preparing for our season changeover, that transition from the summer cricket sports to the winter and the football codes. So we're following up with many clubs and associations. The sooner we can get on those fields and get that work underway, we always get wet weather at that time of year. So we're talking to everyone in the sporting community to try and make that transition from summer to winter as smooth as possible. But so far, fields are all in good condition. The rain's back as usual. It'll help us grow grass. Might make it tough to cut the grass in the coming weeks, but so far the conditions are favourable.
So just an update on sports bookings. So the EOIs were completed for the winter sporting season, with obvious relocations for the Riverwood Park amenity upgrade. So we've temporarily relocated Our winter tenants, and this will continue for the duration of the project and will affect the summer tenants as well. We had over 90 EOI submissions, and this was the first time that our team was able to utilise our new sports ground conflict assessment criteria, which allows us to efficiently assess submissions that may have a conflict in times and areas that have high demand. So the allocations were also completed 2 months earlier than previous years, which gives all sporting clubs and associations, I think, ample time to organise their seasons, complete fixturing, and certainly doesn't impact them as it had previously. Quarry Reserve tennis courts, after being closed since 2022, we've done some interim improvements to allow the community to enjoy the courts again. We reopened with a free summer of tennis, and now the courts are now live on Bookable and have been a bookable asset since the 2nd of February. That upgrade included a deep clean of the court surfaces, new nets, umpire chairs, and a clean of the amenities as well. So standard fees and charges apply for that, and the facility will be continued to manage by Council Sport and Rec team.
Just gonna pass the Okay, some exciting work that's underway. So council resolved to contribute a certain amount of money with co-funding from Basketball New South Wales for a feasibility study for a future multi-court indoor stadium. That work has been underway, and we're at the point of assessing a number of submissions from suitably qualified consultants to be able to conduct that work. And we've been working closely with Basketball New South Wales along the way to ensure that we're, as partners in the funding for the feasibility study, that we're all aligned. So the council takes direction from the community infrastructure needs and area assessment strategy that identifies for our current and future population growth and demands. We have a significant undersupply of indoor sports facilities, and this project, following the feasibility study and business case, will then work through a process to nominate 4 sites. 2 sites have already been nominated by council, being Johnny Warren Indoor Stadium as part of the Hurstville Aquatic Leisure Centre, Tullawalla Reserve at Beverly Hills, and to also seek 2 additional sites from the appointed consultant based on research and community feedback. That process will mean that 4 sites will be identified. There will be clear criteria in assessing what makes a site suitable for a future basketball indoor stadium, and that research also includes engaging with the local communities as well on their support for the introduction of a new sports facility in their area. Once that process has taken place, there will be a report back to council to outline what those 4 locations are and what the primary most feasible option is, that then council will endorse for the next stage of the study, which would be a detailed business case. And all going well, in future years, we may see this as a future capital works program on one of Tom's beautiful slideshows. We're also at this time each year, January, February, where council across all of our services, we review the fees and charges and set the fees and charges for the next financial year. Those fees council can only charge the fees and charges that are adopted by council from the 1st of July. So this is a really important process where council officers conduct the research, review the impact of the pricing that had been previously set to make sure that we are charging the right price for the different stakeholder groups, different customer types, and for the different goals of each of our services and our facilities. For those who may not be aware, last year council introduced a tiered approach to our sports facilities. So you saw that in the workshop with our Jubilee Stadium, our managed facilities, and then our tier 1 sports fields being Howard Fraser Oval, Hurstville Oval, and Olds Park playing field 1. Our tier 2 facilities are all our our synthetic turf facilities, and tier 3 are the remaining grass facilities that are the majority of our fields. So, recognising the increased demand for the limited supply of sports fields, we recognise that one of the ways to help address the sharing is to price accordingly to encourage groups that only need a sports field for a season for only 1 or 2 days, and not have them have to pay the flat rate of 7 days, which was the historic arrangement, to access those fields. So if we tried that, and that was quite successful for some groups, that they saw a price reduction from what they would historically have paid. So we've wanting to work off that and modelling for next financial year, and we're giving you the heads up that we're looking at shifting from a model of a flat rate of 7 days a week or 2 days a week seasonal rate to a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 day seasonal rate. And the purpose of that is so that we can encourage people to select the price that reflects their anticipated usage, and that hopefully then unlocks some fields where if one group's using it for 4 days, then it would actually have availability up to 3 days for another group. So this obviously is a bit different to how people have currently forecasted their sports ground needs in line with their registration timeframes, but it would be great to get your feedback, and we will definitely share that with you once it's out on public exhibition, so you have a chance to review those fees and charges and do your own modelling for your own organisation's needs. Talking about money, we just want to each quarter let you know any grants that may be relevant for sports or community organisations. These are grants that council has the funding, and there are various grants programs opening and closing at each time, different times throughout the year. So you've got this in your agenda pack as well as on council's website, but just to highlight for the year, we've got in March the community and micro grants round 2, and this is for a range of projects, small projects up to 10,000, major projects up to 25,000, and micro grants up to $1,000 in value. In May, we've also got the club grants, which focuses on local sporting and community organisations, and then ongoing throughout 2026, there are a number of grants. So we wanted to highlight in teal there that the Office of Sport has opened a project support program that's suitable for larger strategic sport projects, facility upgrades, organisational capacity. So it's very diverse opportunities for people to apply, and council ourselves, we also apply for these grants to be able to deliver the facilities and the services to the community. Then our council also has an events grant program, and this is for one-off request to council for support of a specific event on a council-owned facility. And this includes indoor and outdoor facilities, and we also have venue hire grants, which supports subsidised access to councils' managed venues, and that's also for indoor and outdoor as well. Just a disclaimer about the venue hire grants, that does not pertain to your seasonal hire of your sports fields. So this would be more, you can request a venue hire grant for a gala day or a 50th anniversary, so a one-off event, not a business as usual regular operation of your sports club. So just so everyone's aware that a grant that council's recently applied for is called Game for Change grant. So this aligns with council's resolution on domestic violence action plan that was endorsed last year, and this is about utilising the sporting community and through our sporting facilities promoting respectful behaviours, creating safe and inclusive sporting environments, and educating those involved in sport, and having a culture change around what is what that we don't stand for domestic, family and sexual violence. So the grant that council is seeking for is up to $75,000. We've had a partnership through Football St George, represented by Nick Smerdley here. So which is the largest sporting association in our St George area, and we hope through that partnership, if we are successful for the grant, that we can focus on creating trusted and visible pathways for reporting of these behaviours through clubs, and as well as enhancing council's annual No Domestic Violence walk as well, engaging even more closely with sporting communities. The last two items, just for your awareness and for your participation, if you choose, is that it's been a long journey, but council is at the point now where we are seeking public comment on the draft Jubilee Stadium precinct master plan and plan of management. These are strategic and visionary documents about how the stadium and the surrounds, that big precinct, will evolve to meet the needs of the community and meet council strategic direction moving forward. So these documents are a bit lengthy, but we try and enable community consultation through drop-in sessions as well as through people's online submissions. So all those details are on Council's Your Say website. And we encourage you to have a look and participate in that. So the vision for the precinct is to in line with expanding its use beyond simply sport. So currently the facility there can only be used for sporting related purposes, and by changing the plan of management, that will enable council in the future to apply for a development application and receives consent to be able to expand the use of the stadium to do things like markets, live music, other uses that the community can enjoy and elevate our region across Sydney as well. And a little last plug for our little Hurstville Museum and Gallery next door on a non-rainy day is that there's a new exhibition called Georges River Reflections. It's a new permanent exhibition, and I've just got on there a little corner of sport that you might like to go down and have a look at. Our museum and gallery is free to enter. They're open 6 days a week, and this exhibition in the sport, leisure and pleasure section recognises how sports, entertainment and social and charitable clubs have had a strong influence in the culture and life of the Georges River area. Any questions?
Actually, just on that museum and gallery exhibition, is there still some capability to perhaps make contributions, cultural contributions to that gallery?
I think this exhibition has now, I don't know what the word is, Chrissy, but it has been curated. I was going to say it's been set, like jelly has been set. But I know that your interest in sporting history and all the research that you have done. So I might get Beth, our coordinator of cultural services, to be in contact with you, because we're always looking for opportunities and ideas for future temporary or permanent exhibitions.
Just on that vein, I have spoken to a number of councillors about the establishment of Hall of Fame. The St George area, the Georges River area, has such a rich history in sport, and I think it would be a great community contribution, and so many important contributions to Australian sport coming out of our area. I think that I personally would like to see that on council agenda to put a working party together to facilitate the feasibility of creating a Hall of Fame.
Through you, Mr. Chair. We are aware of the request that you've made, and Margaret and the team have been looking into that along with our manager of cultural engagement and library services to see what might be feasible, and a future report will be coming to council in the coming months on that.
have a question. Great indoor facilities, but in the future, is any coming any like a smaller projects like for multi-purpose, for one court in the future? Because what we just see it is coming like it's going to be a 3 field. It's like a stadium size.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So the scope of the indoor future indoor sports stadium is for four indoor courts.
Yeah.
So just to clarify, Sasha, you're asking, is part of this feasibility, or is there another
Yeah, it's
project to
another
look?
project, like a smaller project, but in the same kind of indoor multi-purpose. Because as I know, there's a like big demand in this area, because we know like there's the weather doesn't actually work with us, and especially we work outdoors, and we're looking like alternately playing maybe in multi-purpose areas, indoor.
So not in the current capital works program, but always open to suggestions if there's a need. We do have that infrastructure needs assessment, which talks about what infrastructure we need at the moment. In relation to multi-use, that's what the predominant focus is. A small kind of one court multi-purpose facility would be great, but the facility also needs to kind of wash its face. So the number of courts was determined based on, I guess, the financial sustainability or viability of that facility as well. So not at the moment, but it's definitely something that we can consider in the future.
Because if it's like a smaller project, you need a less space for that, and it can be used by schools and like afternoons, and it can be used by people like actually just generally booking for different kind of sports.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. We'll take the feedback. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just going back to the future multi-sport indoor stadium, now that the RFTs have actually been submitted, and we're looking at the appointing consultant in order to undertake the feasibility. Do we have a timeline around that? How long that process will take, and what the timeline is for the consultants to provide their findings?
Through you, Mr. Chair. It would be during this calendar year. We had intended to move more quickly, but these things encounter delays. We had put out the RFQ in December, and due to that Christmas shutdown period, there were requests from potential submitters if they could all have a bit more time to put in a quality response. So we're just having a bit of catch up from that period. So at this stage, I can't commit to an actual month in this year, but it would be in this calendar year because the funding has been awarded by council and the co-contribution from basketball. So we would want to obviously have an outcome to council sooner rather than later.
Just had a question going back to Sans Souci Pool about the parking. My understanding always was that there was only ever, and I know I'm wrong on this, because I always parked around the corner, there was only really a couple of mobility spots outside the pool and everyone had to park elsewhere. But it sort of was recently brought to my attention by someone that was until recently parking there. There were a couple of mobility spots that were taken away. And like I have a vague recollection of us being briefed about something about the parking, but I didn't really retain it. So can you just give me an overview of what's actually going on there, please?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. As part of these works, we identified there were 2 mobility spots originally in the original parking setup, but there was a lot of illegal parking happening around that, and to the current code, those parks weren't compliant for an accessible park. We've actually doubled the amount of accessible parks in front of the venue now, so there's 4 compliant accessible parks now available. We've also tried to put in mitigation measures for illegal parking to prevent people being blocked in, to ensure that these people that have accessibility permits that require these parks aren't getting blocked in. They have the correct swing room, so they're able to get in and out of their vehicles and can access the centre a lot more freely. The next step with the sandstone blocks is to try to prevent vehicles then accessing the park and grasslands themselves for illegal parking, and to also try to mitigate any pedestrian vehicle interactions to the best of our ability.
And just to that, I understand that council has input the 4 mobility spaces that are there is the maximum that can be done with the gradients of some of the spaces there and things like that to be compliant, because there was some feedback people were wanting more, but we've put in the maximum that is possible at the location.
That's correct. We initially looked at 5, but that 5th space was non-compliant due to the grading, what you've stated there. So we have made that a contractor car park, so that people who are providing essential services to the site have a designated area to be able to park and to access the facility too. So we did try to fit in as many of those accessible spaces as possible, but 4 was the maximum compliant number we could fit.
And I understand there's a sign at the top of the driveway that says it's for authorised vehicles only or accessible parking. So really, the only people that should be going down there is someone with a mobility permit or a service vehicle, someone providing deliveries or something like that to the venue. Is that correct? No one else should be going down there at all?
That's correct, yes. And we've also put that sign down the bottom at the car park at the centre as well. So there's
it's not a kiss and ride zone. It's not a drop zone. It's
no.
Get it on the record, because I know there's been a huge amount of people just parking all over the grass and thinking that it's a car park, but it's not.
That's
so,
right.
Hopefully once the sandstone blocks are in, that will make it more difficult for people to do the wrong thing. So, and make it safer for pedestrians, which I think is the key point.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Just have one, just on the event grants that you on the slide you had up there. If a club is hosting their end of season presentation day, which happens to fall outside of their seasonal hire, is the event grant something that they would be eligible to apply for?
To you, Mr. Chair. So we encourage groups when submitting their sporting requests for the year to I suppose plan for the best case scenario that you make it through the finals and your post finals activities. So in that instance, there's I know for some people last year, remember we created a mini event application where it costs no extra charge for existing seasonal hirers to let council know through a structured format, being this events at sports grounds application. Because what we have found is that when you are issued your seasonal allocations, it is for your sport, predominantly your sporting activities. Yes, you may operate a canteen, but we have an understanding from the information you give us of how many hundreds of people are turning up on which days, where you're parking, it'll be just your usual training and competitions. And we have found, based on previous years, that then when we have these end of season galas, that extra elements are brought in to add to the festivities, but that introduces risks. So beyond the existing canteen, we have found there have been instances of people bringing in additional food trucks or kids activities, jumping castles, and they're the kind of things that you may be allowed, but we need to know about it so that we can advise accordingly. Instead of using these food providers, they don't have temporary food permits, lifelong permits issued by council, so you won't be able to get that in the next 7 days. So why don't you use one of these 500 providers that are on council's website, ring them up and ask if a different Mr. Whippyland can come along to your gala. With the event grants, that is for your kind of out of season. It wouldn't be eligible for just your end of year finals sort of celebration.
Sorry, no, just on that point, just for clarity, let's say a 100-year centenary dinner for a sporting club, which is coming up for us a year or two, that an event grant would be applicable to a function like that, particularly if we used a council venue or a local venue?
Through you, Mr. Chair, in principle, I'd say it sounds like it would be, because you don't turn 100 every year, but it would depend on the location that you're requesting and a few other things, and we'll be able to guide you through which pathway where you could seek a grant of whether it's a venue one, an event one or some other kind of, could be a council sponsorship. There's lots of avenues. It just depends on the time frame, the nature of the event, the size, and what community benefit your event will provide.
Any more questions? Okay, if not, I'll call for a vote. All in favor say aye. Against? I declare the motion carried. And there be no other business on the agenda. I declare this meeting closed at 7:03 p.m. Thank you.